Now, a staple of all query executions is the scan. This is how the Redshift engine is going to find the rows relative to your query. So scanning a large number of rows that are not ultimately returned to the end user can be extremely wasteful. You're causing the engine to wade through a lot of data that it doesn't actually need. Therefore, you may want to analyze scans to determine where better sort orders or distribution schemes or query filters could be used. A great source for this is querying the STL scans table log. Here you can compare a variety of columns. For example, compare rows to rows pre-filter and find out the difference between the rows that were scanned versus the rows that were actually found relative to your query. The closer these two numbers are, the more efficient your query is using resources. The further apart, well, potentially the greater opportunity to address a performance problem. Maybe the column in question is already on a sort key, and what you really simply need is to perform a vacuum to get those unsorted rows back in line. Or maybe not. Maybe this column is a potential candidate to be included in a sort key. All of that information is available right here. And speaking of vacuum, if you compare rows pre-filter and then rows pre-user filter, this will identify large numbers of rows that have been deleted but not yet removed. Those so-called ghost records that we talked about. Yet another example where a vacuum could improve the makeup of the table and downstream performance. Now, another system log that I really like that can potentially identify an area where a sort key may be misaligned is the STL sort table log. These sort details can lead you to overuse of order by clauses or areas where the sort key doesn't line up with common queries. Now, none of these system views, I guess with the possible occasional exception of the STL alert event log, are going to identify an exact problem and give you the perfect solution. With all of these, you're going to have to do some amount of detective work, analysis, and gathering of your own numbers to make decisions. But Redshift gives you all the tools to do that. You don't have to make guesses in the dark. Now, if you want to gather numbers going back more than a couple of days, remember that each of these system tables regularly drops older entries off the list. Now, I'm talking about the logs here because snapshots are current active things only. But even the logs don't keep data indefinitely. To keep longer-term stats, you may need to set up your own tables and regularly copy data from these system logs and view logs into long-term storage.